Hi guys, today I shall bring you a guide for handling Darkfalz Solus for the first time. I'll be providing you tips of the following: gear, parties, classes, phases, and boss attacks. Let's start with the gear. So what we'll need is 3750 battle power, and gear to output 3000 damage per second. And to reach that, this can be done by various types of gear like the Neos Astrian and or Justinian weapons. There's Tisa series and or Versatile series weapons. You want to build your potency around 135% potency or more with a floor potency of 70% or more, or 140 potency if you rely on burst damage or using a Versatile series weapon. Just make sure everyone's gear meets or surpasses these requirements, as you want to have plenty of time left at the final phase in order to complete the quest. If ultimately you can't afford to build the gear, I highly recommend grinding in Alpha Environmental Testing Zone Survey. You can obtain LC versions of the most powerful augments and build that min-max Lite build to handle this quest without breaking the bank. Since the augments have a 10% enhancement success rate, you can farm 40 of each of the following: Gladius Soul LC, High Eldama LC, Gigamaste LC, Alpha Finale LC, and Mastery LC. I would recommend replacing Mastery LC with maybe Precision 4, Might 4, or Technique 4 to output more potency. You can also obtain the new Octo Armor and Versatile series weapons from the zone or with growth mints that also drop from the zone. Now you also want to have a good enough party that provides good synergy and damage overall. So the most ideal would be probably 2 DPS classes, a Ranger and a Tector, or 3 DPS classes consisting of Slayer and Waker and a Ranger. Now, this is just the best classes out of them all. You could still use any other DPS class as long as you have at least a Ranger. You're going to need a Ranger in your team. And for subclasses, I recommend using Bouncer as your subclass. Now why? Because of partial destroy advantage at level 5. Based on the skill as a subclass, you'll receive 1% damage increase per attack. However, it caps at 3 parts, giving you a total of 3% extra damage. And for having Ranger, you get an extra 20% damage, and when the Blight becomes purple, you get extra 25% damage potency. Alright, phase 1. I'm going to talk a little slow here. Starting the fight, I advise focusing on the back breakable part of Solus. This is for multiple reasons. The back part shoots out projectiles you will need to dodge if you leave that back part alone. You want to also have that increased 1% damage for your Bouncer subclass to increase your DPS, which I explained earlier. And it's also easier to focus on other objectives when your targeting doesn't target his back all the time. Now, after the back is broken, your next step would be to expose the cores in both of Solus's arms. In order to reveal the cores, you will see 3 pods that will be moving around the stage. You'll also be anticipating the following attacks as you work your way to destroying each bomb pod: explosions from pod bombs, AoE bubble explosions, palm strikes, nail swipes, gate attacks, smash attack with an AoE, slamming, and lasers. Now, lasers will not always target everyone, but if they do, then please try keeping the laser beam out of the way of your teammates, as it can also still hit them if touched. While dealing with all of that, destroy each pod together one by one. Once all 3 pods are finally destroyed, any attack Solus is about to do will be cancelled, and start an animation where his arm opens up and exposes the core. You'll focus all attention on that core and destroy it as fast as possible. Now, if the core is not destroyed in time, you'll have another chance to destroy it. Solus will just spawn 1 single pod bomb, which, when destroyed, will reveal the core in his arm again. After the first arm core is destroyed, you will repeat same old destroy 3 pods to expose another core from his second arm. You can then proceed to destroy the core on his second arm. This will down Solus, exposing a core on his body. You obviously will focus on getting as much damage on that core as possible. By around that time, his break bar gauge should be nearly depleted, giving you a chance to break Solus and unleash your Photon Blast for extra damage. Once Solus's HP reaches 50%, you'll enter a DPS check to enter Phase 2. This portion of the fight, you'll be focusing on 2 cores that will spawn on the highest platform that will rise from the stage. You want to be right in front of Solus, avoiding any red puddles that appear on the floor, as these platforms will spawn and they will hurt you and send you flying, wasting time. Split your party into 2 pairs and climb up to both separate cores and destroy them as fast as possible. As you're working on this, you will notice lava is rising and it will damage you. Once both cores are destroyed, if fast enough, you should be able to target a halo on Solus's head. Destroy it and this will down Solus. Do as much damage as you can, because after Solus recovers, you'll enter Phase 2. Phase 2 will be very fast paced compared to Phase 1. You need to keep watch for all the following attacks, but keep note you can still weapon action or step dodge them all, except the massive walls. For Phase 2, please target only the staff Solus will be using to whack and blast you with. Now the patterns are walls with holes. You can't weapon action or step dodge these, so do your best to jump through the holes and avoid getting hit by the wall. Square waves. Every other row of the stage will be an explosive attack on each square that's highlighted on the stage. After the first row of highlighted cubes explode, the next row will be highlighted and also explode, but also a wave of cubes flying at you. Just make sure not to be in the highlighted area and jump over the wave of cubes, or just weapon action through it. Staff Slam. Darkfalz Solus will slam his staff multiple times on the platform on whoever he has aggro for. Before he slams the staff again, the staff will produce an AoE attack. Look for the white ring as a signal to weapon action and avoid taking damage. Staff Slamming 2. Solus has a second staff slam where it will create an explosion and cubes will spike out of the ground and spread out. The range of that does not cover the whole platform, but again, you can always just weapon action it all. Pillars. Multiple purple puddles will appear. Stay out of these to allow the pillars that will fall to miss you. Stay behind a pillar facing Solus and slowly move in the opposite direction from where Solus is moving to avoid getting hit by his cubes. Moonbeam. This is just a beam. If you're in the AoE highlighted area, just avoid it with the weapon action or get out of the way. I'm starting to run out of names for some of these attacks. This one I'll call a big explosion. Solus will highlight the border of the entire platform until it explodes. Then in the center will spawn a massive AoE explosion. Just avoid it and watch out for his strike attack at the end of it. Next, you will have platforms highlighted in massive blocks and projectiles flying at you. Just avoid these and you should be good. Once the staff is finally destroyed, please focus on the core on his chest. You will continue to dwindle his health until you reach 10% of his health. This will start Phase 3. Phase 3 is not as intense as Phase 2, but more of a mixture of Phase 1 and 2. Pod bombs will spawn producing up to 2 ticks, which you can weapon action or step dodge like in Phase 1. The objective of this phase is to destroy all the pods, which will down Solus. Watch out for the cube waves and floor lighting up after every 2 ticks. Just keep true and weapon action or step dodge everything when attacking a pod. You will only have maybe a minute or less to destroy all of them and kill off Solus. It is recommended to plan out a plan starting from the middle pod bomb to the next, so all members of the party focus all on one pod and proceed to move on to the next. Spreading out the party to multiple pods is not recommended. Once you manage to destroy each pod, you will then proceed with the final DPS check. You should focus the attack halo on Solus's head until he breaks. Break him and finish him off. If you're not able to break him, you will encounter a huge orb explosion at his head. Watch out for that. But then you should be able to kill him off, and then you're done. Enjoy the crappy rewards.